You're listening to Supervision with a Vision, where we discuss all things supervision. I'm your host, Sarah, professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, play therapist, eating disorder specialist, and cookie lover, with my co-host, Heather, marriage and family therapist, certified Together in Texas counselor, a Texas transplant from California, and outdoor adventurer. Hi, welcome to Supervision with a Vision. Today, Heather and I are talking about when it's time to intervene. This week we read Timing is Everything, Effective Times to Intervene When Parenting, published in Psychology Today, 2025. Heather, do you think intervening as a counselor or a supervisee is comparable to intervening as a parent?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's, if you're paying attention in your parenting, then yes. I think sometimes people aren't paying attention to whatever the topic is. But
yeah, that's fair. I feel like I say that to both parents and kids that I'm seeing that, hey, look, I do this with you for like an hour.
Mm-hmm. So, right, this is just in one.
Right. Yeah. The way that I'm paying attention and intervening gets to be different than the way it might happen at home if you've got distractions, other kids. The kids aren't, their kid that you're trying to intervene with isn't always in the house with you. I mean, they're going places.
Right.
So it's similar, but we get the luxury of having undivided attention for some of the time that we're with people. So the article starts out with the timing of interventions can really impact the outcome.
Right. I think, and I look at this for clients, this is actually across the board, clients, supervisees, and even some parenting. If you aren't paying attention and you know what the intervention is that you want to do, but you're just trying to shove it out there because you just want it to, here, this is what you need to do, and you're not waiting for the process to unfold, I think often you're met with a lot of resistance. In supervision, if you have an intervention or you think this is what, hey, this thing happened, and so here, you need to do this thing, and you're quick to give it, like, you have to make this report, or you have to write your note this way, or whatever it is, very quickly you'll hit kind of some roadblocks or some opposition. But it also can work very well in the opposite way.
Okay.
So
I always think timing related to development also.
Sure. Okay.
If you give an intervention, I think I would use this example when I'm helping parents think about their parenting. If the intervention is you got poor grades, and so now you need to mow the lawn for a month. I don't know that it relates directly enough that they're getting the message or they're having the impact that they hope they would have.
Right.
But if they determine that their kid got poor grades because they're on their device in the middle of the night and not getting good sleep, that then explaining like this is why you're losing your device because you're not sleeping, so and that's having an impact on it. That might have more importance.
Sure. Right.
And might actually change what happens. But also, if you give an intervention that just, so one, if it doesn't apply, but also if it's not maybe age appropriate, about, or development appropriate.
Sure.
So with a supervisee, if you're saying, okay, maybe you're kind of watching and keeping up with their note taking and they're really behind on all their notes. And so you say to them, like, not necessarily a consequence, but a reaction to being really behind on all of your notes is that before you take on new clients, you need to be caught up with your notes. That one, that's really directly impacting them, right? That they want those clinical hours, but also it would make sense if they know how to write a note.
Right.
If they literally don't know how to write notes, or maybe you're in an electronic health record keeping system and they go, but I haven't been given access yet. Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's different.
Right. So we need to get you a username and password. Then that wouldn't be an appropriate reaction to not having your notes done.
Right.
Because they haven't had the chance to do it yet. So timing of an intervention can impact the outcome. Do you ever, can you think back to any time where there was an intervention and you thought, oh, nailed it. That was like the best timing ever. So good that it just like came together in a great way that just
Hmm.
made perfect sense.
I think there was a time where a supervisee had talked to me and we had already kind of made a plan that like she was watchful for a few things. This was probably something she was going to have to report, but we were waiting to see. And so because of that, we talked ahead of time, like what that would look like. If she saw A, B, and C, that was reportable and this is how we're doing it. And it's exactly what went down. And I actually happened to not be like available when this went down. So I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like, it was, she was going to have to wait a while before she was going to see me again. And because we had that plan, like she wasn't upset. She wasn't frustrated. She sent me an email that said, yep, that happened. I'm making a report right now. Like it brought her confidence level up because there was
Mm-hmm.
some like pre planning in that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just get, but it did go seamlessly because we kind of could see what was unfolding.
Yeah. Um, I'm thinking one time it was around the holidays. I was the director at a eating disorder program. And because of the holidays, but also just because of the dynamics of the handful of clients we had, I wanted to do some kind of like volunteer or
Okay.
community work.
Sure.
And I was kind of stuck because I was like, man, I can't think up anything that fits all of our little requirements,
Mm-hmm.
that we can do within a short amount of time, that
Sure.
isn't super expensive,
Right.
that, it would be hard for us to get all of these clients in a vehicle and get them somewhere. So we
Mm-hmm.
kind of need to be able to do it here. So all of those different logistic things were kind of tricky. Um, but we came up with a couple of different ideas and it just landed so perfectly
Mm-hmm.
that they appreciated it and understood why we were doing
Right.
it, that they enjoyed doing it together and felt kind of brought closer together as a group, that this was something that they
Mm-hmm.
contributed to, that it just
Yeah.
the timing was
It
good.
was good. Yeah.
Okay, the second point is that problems can be avoided by being proactive.
I think that I've seen that play out several times, but that I'm thinking of parenting things, I'm thinking of supervision, and I'm also thinking of with clients.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I think with clients that I comes to mind quickly is I was working with a family and had had a parent consult, and mom and dad were just really like their ideas of what they wanted from therapy and where their kid was at in therapy were like
Mm-hmm.
nowhere near aligned.
Mm-hmm.
And by me kind of putting some things out there that were maybe some things they needed to be aware of was an intervention that really on the client side my client was unaware of, but that was really helpful for that family for them to be protective of
Mm-hmm.
their kid and what some of the self-harming that was happening.
Mm-hmm. When I think of this, I think as a counselor, a supervisor, I think this is challenging and it also limits us
Oh,
sometimes.
absolutely.
And the first idea I have is if I had a new play therapy client and I'm bringing them into the play therapy room and proactively I named off every single thing that they might do. I just told them the
Everything.
rule right up
Right.
front. You have to sit at the table to play Play-Doh. You
Mm-hmm.
don't get the sand on the
Right.
floor. You that I mean, whatever. All the,
Mm-hmm.
like if you break something, then we can't play with it
Right.
anymore. You can't take anything home.
Mm-hmm.
I've
It
just
just would feel
named
very like,
all,
bleh.
like, don't get in the therapy dog's face.
Right.
As soon as they stepped in the door, if I just rattled off all of those things, I think it would be overwhelming to keep track of all of it. Like even in
Mm-hmm.
someone's
Mm-hmm.
best effort, they
Mm-hmm.
would,
We're like, oh wait, I can't.
right.
Yeah.
Where am I not supposed to put sand? I
Right.
can't do it.
Can I have it on the table?
Right.
Yeah.
It would be hard, but it would be so limiting
Right.
that I think not only would that it would be a challenge to follow all of those rules, but they might find themselves feeling like stuck, like, so what am I allowed to do?
Right.
Um, even, I mean, I think in like early education, when
Mm-hmm.
they're teaching early
Right.
childhood education, they tell you not to do that,
Right.
right? They
Like their
say,
brains can
don't.
only.
Yeah, like if you're setting up a classroom for an elementary, like 10 and under classroom for kids, that your list of rules on the wall should be like four,
Yep.
but definitely there are more than four. Like
Right.
don't pee in the corner,
Mm-hmm.
don't pinch your friend,
Mm-hmm.
don't but
And that's probably not making your list.
no. I think on the list, what is it? It's like walk,
Yeah.
be
Mm-hmm.
kind, use inside voices.
Right. Don't touch your
Yeah,
friends.
right. So, I mean, that's it.
Right.
But I'll think of all the other ways that you could go wrong, and
Hmm.
like, don't rip pages out of books.
Right.
Don't. Um, so I think that there's some use to that. Okay,
Sure.
even this week, I think I don't know if I mentioned this to you already this week. Um, I can see how being proactive is limiting, and I can see how it's helpful. This week, we have a handful of new clients that have
Hmm.
never been in the building before. We have someone new in a new clinician in our space, and so we have some new clients coming in. And surprisingly, because I've never seen it happen with this kind of frequency, all of these new people in the building are walking in and wandering around the building,
Oh, like not just coming into the waiting
right, and knocking
room.
on doors
Oh, okay.
and opening
Oh, goodness.
doors. I've
Okay.
had 3 sessions interrupted this week
Oh, okay.
by someone just opening the door.
Hmm.
And I'm not the only person.
Right.
So this is, and I think by being proactive, some
Sure.
you could avoid
Yeah.
some of that, and not with perfection,
Right.
but that maybe some of that could be avoided by having some
Hmm.
proactive explanation of an expectation.
Yeah, I think that's true. Those kind of things can be avoided.
Uh, oh, I mean, I'm thinking like, how many times have we had supervisees that show up late, unprepared, dressed in something
Right. They were like, what?
surprising? I don't know, eating.
Hmm.
Um, it's been a long time now that actually I know she's in first grade now.
Hmm.
I had a supervisee that brought her baby,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
but we discussed it
Right. We had a
beforehand.
conversation and you're,
Yes, we
yes.
were
Hmm.
very proactive in talking to each other about how this could work
Right.
and what some limitations might be. And so we thought it through. And I think even we didn't do that exhaustively because I know we didn't mention, but I appreciated that she was proactive. We didn't talk about diaper changing,
Oh, right.
but I know now, and then I
Hmm.
didn't, that on purpose, she would try and time it so that she would change the diaper a little, just a few minutes before she came in, giving herself the best chance
Of
that
the,
there would
yeah.
not be a
Hmm.
dirty diaper during our time. That, um, I mean, so I find striking a balance or
Right.
figuring out how much is enough proactive
Hmm.
intervention and how much is
Right.
unneeded.
Right.
Okay, the last point is different strategies for different times. And this makes me think about you and I have oft, or at least a handful of times, talked about Bernard's discrimination model
Right.
or the developmental model of
Hmm.
supervision. Both are related to, I'm going to this very
Right.
simplify this a whole lot. That basically the needs and interventions of a newer supervisee are different and gradually change over time for someone who has more experience, more relationship with you,
Correct.
that over time the needs and the interventions shift towards something
Right.
different.
Right.
So, different strategies for different times. Do you think
Hmm.
do you find that to be true?
Absolutely, especially in supervision. It's a very different when you come in and maybe you've sat in a room with a client for maybe you've had 20 hours of doing counseling. That is so much different than someone that's done 1,000 hours of counseling or 2,000 hours of counseling. Like
Mm-hmm.
just the experience of being in the room with a client, just those things that the structure that I think I almost like naturally keep for like people that come in straight out of school. It looks
Mm-hmm.
different than if you come to me and you already have some experience.
Mm-hmm.
And then also along with that, I think is probably the rapport between us. Like
Mm-hmm.
what I know you've experienced or what, I've seen you work through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking again about my door problem this week. Um I don't know. Maybe I'm taking it for granted. I would think that a more seasoned counselor would know and anticipate that a little bit of information
Should
would be
help you.
helpful. Even things like telling someone new coming to your space for the first time, um, where it would be reasonable to park,
Sure. Right.
or maybe in different cases where it would not be reasonable to
Right.
park.
Right.
That that spot is
Hmm.
designated for something, whatever.
Right.
Or or like when you come, be prepared with,
Right.
I don't know what
The
information you need.
our
Just like when you go to a doctor's appointment,
Right, like you
you,
know where to go. Our suite is located in the bottom of a building, and you have to go from the front of the building. You go like around some elevators and back down a hallway, and it's kind of like almost a maze.
uh,
And we worked very hard on having like a paragraph that we all like clip and put into our
mm,
like welcome to counseling email that
yeah.
says do these things so that it's very easy that they can just read that and
Sure.
walk.
And I mean, it means too that you thought a lot about it and how to
Right,
phrase it in a way you looked at it from the user's perspective
right,
and went, okay, I do this every day,
right.
but if I've never done this before,
What do I? Yeah. So I think those kind of strategies kind of are the uh, everyone gets that from the first time they're coming in, and then I'll have clients that come back. And over COVID, we didn't use our waiting room, and so we got people
mm,
from directly from the parking lot. And I recently just saw someone that I haven't seen since that
yeah,
time, and they naturally parked in a back spot, like
yeah,
where I have to go to the back door and let them in
yeah,
because that was what they're used to.
yeah.
Just yeah,
Um, Now thinking about, so people who come into my space, who've been there before, don't need a lot of redirect. Not only,
no,
I mean, they
right,
definitely know not to go knock on door or open
hmm,
doors. Um, but even smaller things like, I see a family and I've known them for a little bit and the kids were, I mean, they've grown, so they're developmentally in different places themselves.
right,
But over time, what they need, if they're waiting, has changed.
sure,
If it's a kid and their sibling, and I'm going to see the kid, but the sibling's got to wait,
hmm,
that maybe you need to bring different things or be
hmm,
prepared for different things, that waiting for an hour for this age kid is different than waiting for an hour with a kid who's
right,
a little bit younger or a
right,
little bit older. And I see them managing that and knowing my waiting area, but also knowing their kid and what their
right,
kid would need. So
right,
now, it might include like a snack,
sure,
a bottle of water.
hmm,
You're going to eat your crunchy snack and then you're going to go, I'm thirsty.
hmm,
And like, well, we can't leave right now. We need,
right,
I'm going to bring a bottle of water. So you
right,
like anticipating different strategies for different
sure.
situations or times.
Just kind of shifting gears a little bit, but even to the a lot of counselors work in evening hours. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
knowing if you're the last person in the building or knowing
Yep.
if you're like how you would lock the door when your last client comes in
Mm-hmm.
versus you probably don't lock the door between every client.
Mm-hmm.
Things
Mm-hmm.
like that.
I think about supervisees, because you were saying the longer you know someone as a
Sure.
supervisee,
Mhm.
I think then because you have built a relationship, you know how you can intervene, and also you know what intervention makes the most sense or is most impactful.
Sure.
Um, that with some even saying like, "Hey, I'm going to send you an article. You can read about that."
Right.
For some people, I know they're going to read it
Yeah.
and I know they're going to make the connection,
Hmm.
and that the following week they might even come back and go, "Hey, I read that and it made sense to me," and they might have follow-up
Right.
questions. And I also know there are some people I could send them the email and they will never read it.
Right.
And
Or
so,
acknowledge they even saw it in their
right.
email.
So then thinking that it's going to make a connection for them or there would be a follow-up discussion,
It's not happening. Right.
right? So knowing different people, different times and
Hmm.
situations, you might adjust your intervention.
Right.
Okay. So Heather and I would love to know what your thoughts about the timing of interventions for your supervisees. And as always, we would love to hear any suggestions for future episodes. Thanks today for listening to Supervision with a Vision. You've been listening to Supervision with a Vision. Head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Therapy Academy to join the conversation and get show notes. We'll be back next week with more Supervision with a Vision.